It is Asian American and Pacific Islander Month, and Sesame Street has a new character to celebrate. TJ is the show's first Filipino character, and he was introduced earlier this month. Puppeteer and performer Yinan Shintu voices TJ, and TJ was created in part by Filipino-American and Oscar-nominated animator Bobby Pontillas. Speaking of which, a very special treat today. We get to talk to the puppet's creator, Bobby Pontillas, and Bobby is going to be joined by Rosemary Palacios, the Director of Talent Outreach, Inclusion, and Content Development for Sesame Street Workshop. Thank you both for being with us today. It's great to see you. So Bobby, you recently posted about this moment, about the creation of TJ. I want to go ahead and bring up your Instagram post. Tell me more about TJ, the inspiration behind the creation, where the name came from, and what inspired you to create a Filipino character.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So I think Rosemary can attest to a lot of how TJ kind of came about in the first place. But once Rosemary reached out to me and with the assignment and the ask of, can you help us design a Filipino little boy Muppet? And I was like, oh my goodness, yes, of course. Of course, I jumped at the opportunity. And I was very, very fortunate to be partnering with Lewis Mitchell, one of the creative character design lead over at Sesame. And he was very gracious with his time. He reached out to me and was steadfast in his objectives for TJ to look and feel very Filipino. So he asked me a lot of smart questions, very inquisitive of, like, to me, what made a young person distinctively and authentically Filipino, both visually and personality-wise. So being on board with that authenticity and the need to make it authentic, I kind of reached back into my own life and drew inspiration on my friends, little boys. Their names were Max and Mateo. And in just the way their demeanor, their personality, as well as their physicality, skin tone, features, and kind of even down to the way he dresses was kind of pulled from, you know, the little Filipino-American kids in my life that I knew. As well as our visits to the Philippines as well.
Yeah, so. I actually just got back from the Philippines a few weeks ago, so I'm right there with you. But I wanted to ask you something that I love about TJ is that TJ doesn't have a Filipino accent, and TJ is actually learning how to speak Tagalog. So why did you decide to go in this direction with TJ?
Well, again, that would be a question for Rosemary, as she was there in the very beginning and conception of, like, bringing TJ on to Sesame Street. However, I can certainly relate to that. I grew up in the United States. My mom was born in the Philippines, was in the U.S. Navy, came to the States, and so I was born and raised here. So I can understand TJ's, like, struggles of not necessarily growing up with it and not necessarily spoken in the household. But for myself and a lot of Filipino Americans, like growing up in the 80s and 90s, we can certainly relate to, you know, that kind of feeling of wanting to get closer to your culture, wanting to learn more about where you kind of come from. And his Lola, as he mentions, is the perfect conduit to make that bridge the gap for those generations for him. Yeah.
I love that. And I want to go ahead and bring in Rosemary right here. Rosemary, this is such a big moment, such a special moment. What does it mean to you to see this entire project come to fruition? And why did you decide that TJ was an important puppet to have on the show? I mean, there's already an Asian American character. I believe that you have a Korean character on the show. Why was this so important to you?
I mean, for the workshop, it was really important to be able to represent the breadth of the API diaspora. There's more than one kind of way to be Asian, and I think, you know, when we were looking at the diaspora and the, you know, the spectrum of skin tone representation, I think we felt it was important to make sure that there was some brown Asian representation in there as well. And, you know, being Filipino myself, I think that also helped bring some authenticity to the table. You know, the decision for us to make TJ specifically second generation, I think also speaks to a lot of where maybe our audience viewers might see themselves not having an accent and wanting to reconnect after their parents might have been forced to assimilate a little more than they had to. So, yeah, I think this is an opportunity for children to see themselves represented and know that the world is also here for them. And they can also heighten and build their own sense of identity and belonging and confidence, like we showcase in this video.
And Rosemary, how has TJ been received so far? What kind of an impact do you think that TJ is going to have on younger generations that are non-Asian American?
I mean, TJ, the reception around TJ has been so wonderful and welcoming, and it really does feel like I liken it to a hug from the entire Filipino community, both overseas and domestically. And I do feel like even children who are non-Filipino might find a way to see themselves in how he's portrayed, whether it's, the color of his skin or wanting to connect with a deeper culture that you have in your family, any of those things, or just being open to learning more about someone else's culture. I think all of those things are an opportunity that comes about with a character like TJ.
And finally, a question that I want both of you to weigh in on, because May is AAPI Heritage Month. Bobby, I'll start with you. What do you make of the progress in regards to representation in the AAPI community? How far have we come? How much further do you believe the community has yet to go?
I think that's a great question. And I think from the entertainment point of view, we're living in Los Angeles and kind of working in movies and TV and film and everything like that. As the more Asian Americans start to kind of come into the industry, the entertainment industry, both on screen and behind the camera, that it's inevitable to sort of see these characters and these stories come to life and fruition on huge platforms like Sesame Street. So it's really encouraging. Actually, the LA, especially in Hollywood, there's a huge supportive community of Asian American writers, talent, producers that really kind of come together and support each other. And it's really encouraging to see.
And Rosemary, did you want to go ahead and weigh in?
Yeah, I do feel like, to Bobby's point, it's really wonderful seeing the community come together to really, showcase the strides that we've made and keep pushing the pendulum forward, so that way we can, fight for more representation and showing, again, the breadth of this community and culture, because we're not a single monolith and there is a variety and range of how to represent. So the more we can do it and the more voices we have in the mix, and the more we can show this beautiful diaspora that we have.
Yeah, hats off to both of you. It's so wonderful to see Bobby Pontillas and Rosemary Palacios. Thank you so much for being here. Maraming salamat to both of you. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you for having us.